Hi, this is Maggie.
And Ashley.
And Chris.
And you're listening to The Watering Hole.
That's the one I went with. Sorry.
Please. Where animals and animal enthusiasts regularly drink. Every episode we'll talk about different animals and why they're cool, from basic biology to the threats they face and what people are doing about it. All while under the influence.
Clearly. All right, audience. You heard it here first.
We heard it first, too, and couldn't handle it.
We have Chris, probably the podcast's biggest fan.
The biggest fan.
Also one of our good friends. I don't want to make it seem like we've invited a creepy man.
Oh, my God. So if you've ever seen our episode titles and you've seen that one of them recently was like, Chris, this is your formal invitation. This is Chris.
The Chris.
Shall we cheers?
We shall
cheers to this.
Cheers. I'm excited.
I'm excited. You make me feel like we're famous. Like, not gonna lie.
Ooh. Okay, that was tasty. Now let's play the game. Did you see what kind of alcohol was put into this?
I don't know my alcohol. I know I could describe the bottle for you.
Like it was brown?
Okay.
Chris was also like, do you have a cocktail shaker? I was like, no. I was like, you have a bar? And I was like, I have a bar.
And there's a mason jar. We can make this work.
Right? And he's like, do you have enough ice? Turns out the answer was no. But the ice maker is going, so.
Is this bourbon?
It is not. So this is my absolute favorite cocktail.
Ooh.
Oh.
Okay.
Which is why I wanted to bring it to
your absolute favorite podcast?
my absolute favorite podcast. So it is brandy based.
Ooh.
Oh. I mean, isn't that like close family?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know very little about mixed drinks.
This is fun.
I like it though.
So it is called a sidecar.
Oh, I should have known.
Should've.
We've had conversations about cocktails and that sidecars were your favorite.
That I'm a bit obsessed about. But yeah, so I figured that would be a fun thing to contribute.
I love it.
Well, this is fun.
This is way better than anything we've drank the last probably all episodes.
53 episodes.
53 episodes.
Well, there's more where that came from.
Oh. He's like, I'll bring you a new cocktail. Chris is kind of like a bartender.
Yeah,
so.
this is very exciting. I'm just... So we're just here to drink and be on camera, right?
Oh, yeah.
That's the only reason why we're here?
No. We've got to
Catch up with our friends?
We've got to talk about some wildlife in a little bit.
Well...
But I think we should mention, I don't know if we mentioned this on the episode where we formally invited Chris. We met Chris where Maggie and I originally worked years ago. And
with 3 of the other guests we've had on
all
this
the
podcast.
guests, right?
Oh
no, there was one.
There was one that wasn't.
Yeah.
4 other guests.
Met working together a nonprofit years and years ago that had wildlife component.
Yeah.
And
So
then
we've all blossomed.
We've all gone our different ways.
Yes, and moved on.
Some
Most of us
have come back, but at the end of the day, we still all love talking about wildlife. And we're all still on a group chat where what was it just the other day? Jill, who was on the podcast, was like, "What is this bird?"
Yeah.
I know, I did it.
That was so great.
What was the description she used?
Oh, it was like a buff.
An athletic crow?
She was like, it looks like an athletic pigeon.
Was that something that was athletic?
And like I was late to the chat, so Chris had already taken care of answering
very fast.
And so all I had to do was just laugh at the fact. Yeah.
But she's not the only friend that I have that sends me random bird pictures.
Oh, I was really excited. I got a text message from my cousin the other day, and it was just a bunch of different paw prints in the snow. And she was like, what are these animals? And then identified them. And she's like, this is great. You're like Shazam for animal tracks. I feel like I had so many things to say today before we started filming, but alas, I think my brain is about to shut down.
That's not good.
No,
we have a podcast to film.
I know. Well, here's the thing. I think I'm going to be really drunk in 2 minutes.
I'm very glad that you're going first. I feel like if you were going last, we would lose you.
I think
halfway through Chris's, we'd be like, fuck. Luckily, we did catch up beforehand, just like on life stuff, because we do have to fit three
It's
animals
true.
into this episode.
But I was really excited when, Chris, you started mentioning, you're like, I had so many different animals I wanted to choose from. And I know we're going to get into yours in a little bit here, but I want to, like, I want to hear a little bit. How did you...
About my process?
Yeah, about the process. Because you knew this was a big build-up for you.
Oh my gosh.
So,
And he was asking questions. He was like, can I see the list of ones you've done beforehand? Which is like good. I love you.
I know,
doing your
you need to know.
Well,
yeah.
And it's not because I haven't listened to the podcast multiple times now. Like, you've become like my Schitt's Creek of podcasts.
Yes!
Honestly,
What an honor.
we're putting that for the advertisement.
Yeah, I mean, when I need like a pick-me-up or, you know, just something, I don't know.
Yeah.
I was a late adopter and I apologize for that. Because I'm not into podcasts. So it just, there was that.
No
Let's just put
offense
that out
taken.
there.
None.
I don't know if I've adopted this podcast yet. Yeah.
I have to
After
listen
the
through
100th
like
episode,
3 times,
we'll revisit.
so I never listen to it on a...
No, so every episode,
Talk about more animals and the threats they face.
My head would just, I'd have all these ideas.
Yeah.
Because you guys have covered like a lot of really cool things. And I like that you've not been, you know, like mammal-centric or like charismatic megafauna-centric or, you know, whatever that, you know. And so the list just kept growing. And then I, on my own time, watched my nature programs and my... So
you sound
the way you said
so
that.
old.
my nature program.
I watch my nature programs.
So imagine me with a cocktail, like a sidecar.
Yeah, and you're like,
and
yes, this is
me and
it.
David Attenborough hanging out.
Oh my
so,
gosh.
So the list has grown, but a few things are on the list that were just more, they had personal meaning or significance to me.
Yeah.
And ultimately, the one that made the cut is one that is far from charismatic megafauna, but is definitely
Nice.
something that
Honestly,
means
Oh,
something.
I'm so excited.
Those are sometimes the best ones.
Oh,
Yeah, no,
yeah,
absolutely.
absolutely.
I was struggling to figure out what one I was going to do, because I also have a list of
Oh,
like,
yeah.
you know, whenever you hear something, I'm like, oh, I want to do that and that, but I was like, what do I do to like impress Chris?
So
Like, we have a guest. Like, I want to do something special. And then I picked one. I was like, oh my God, this is so much information. I should do a shorter one because we're going to be talking forever. But I was like, I can't say no. Like, I have to deliver. So hopefully, I think it's a good one.
just like you, Ashley, I have a list of species I want to cover, and when I knew that Chris was coming tonight, this one easily rose to the top. So I'm very excited for you guys to see. But I mean, if you want, I can get into it.
I mean, I think you probably should.
Okay. All right.
Before you finish this sidecar, I think you should start now.
should hurry up and get
Please.
going. Okay, so here is your clue,
Oh.
It's my favorite part.
lady and gents.
So
Like, I've been waiting.
if I can guess it based on the clue before you give it second clues or other things, I feel like I'm winning
Oh my gosh.
that day.
You
Like,
you have won the day, because we don't get them half the
No.
time.
Well, I was recently like on an episode and I was like, I need to edit out this guessing because it's like
It was a long-
solid 6 minutes of guessing. And I was like, nobody wants to listen to this.
Like, I don't even want to.
Honestly,
I'm like, oh my God, get to it.
I would love some more feedback though from our guests, please, if you don't mind. Like, do you guys do you guess along, or are you like, I have no idea? So I only have one clue for you guys, so I really hope you get it.
Well, luckily we got 2 brains on it.
All
We
right.
can confer, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, or is it a competition?
No,
We
I
can
don't know.
confer.
You
can
two are
confer.
always competing though.
We are.
Like, you are arch
Don't,
nemesis.
We
don't
are.
set this up.
We need this to be a cohesive podcast.
Okay. All right. This is an ironic fish with a trendy haircut.
I'm like, is there a mullet fish that exists?
There's a mullet.
There's a mullet?
There's a fish called the mullet.
Really?
But Maggie's not responding, so I feel like another fish.
That's not
You're like reading
there
the
is-
body language. What's another
A trendy.
trendy haircut? A bob. A shag. A shag. That's
a bird.
Damn, but that would have been good.
Figures.
A middle part fish.
No, but I figure like is my chance now, and I'm completely stumped by the clue.
It is a tough one.
It's once you're on camera, everything goes out of your head.
Okay, good. So
It's just part of the thing.
it's not just me. It's the bright lights.
It's the lights.
Trendy fish.
An ironic fish
Oh, sorry. Ironic with a trendy
Ironic
haircut.
with a trendy haircut.
Or a trendy fish with an ironic haircut.
I mean,
Also, as somebody who is not trendy at all, it gets me some. A bob, a shag. A wolf cut is technically, there's wolf fish.
Can we ask questions?
Yeah.
Sure, if you want to.
This is art.
Freshwater or saltwater?
Oh gosh. This particular species is in saltwater.
Okay.
This particular species.
So maybe they occur in both, which doesn't narrow.
Would
I would say, how much fish knowledge do you have, Chris?
Would you like to know more about the haircut that I'm
Yes.
referring to?
Sure.
It's another way of referring to bangs.
Fringe. A fringe head. The sarcastic fringe head. Oh, sorry.
What?
We were on a team.
I've never heard of this.
Yes!
I actually don't. I know it's like
Why
wild
would
looking.
you know that?
Because I have a lot of books in my house that are like
Sarcastic fringe head?
sarcastic fringe heads. I have a book. It's like a coffee table book. It's called WTF Evolution, and it's like all of these crazy species. And I'm pretty sure sarcastic fringe head is in there.
Do you know anything about this?
I know it's a fish, and it's kind of a wild looking, and that's
it's
about
in salt water.
and it's in salt water.
So,
That's all we got.
ladies and gents. I am doing the sarcastic fringe head.
I love that you stumped Chris.
I know.
And I would like to know what makes it sarcastic.
Oh, you're about to find
We're
out.
gonna-
Okay.
All right,
That's
guys.
what this podcast is all about. You can have your drink back now.
Thank you.
That was a really good clue and a really crazy animal.
Fringe. You think we're like what, British or something? Like, what's happening?
Listen, you got it. So
I did.
All right, I am doing the sarcastic fringe head, otherwise known as the Neoclinus blancardi.
I should have started with that.
I should have led with that.
Oh. Sorry.
I thought you actually
No,
were
still,
like,
still,
oh
still
yeah.
know it.
Never apologize.
So this fish is a blenny. Do you know what a blenny is?
Oh, I do know blennies.
They're like, well, usually aren't they like small little thin fish that like live in the ground?
You're on the right track. So blenny is the common name for a certain type, many types of fish, including several families of ray finned. So like, you know, a pretty fish that has like that on its back.
Yeah.
If you
this is a podcast, so
if you can't
first
see,
and foremost.
okay, if you want to think of a fin, think of like a dinosaur that has the fin on its back.
Gotcha. Or like think of like just like a hand with like fins in between.
Yeah, and put
sort of.
your hand out in front of you. Imagine you have webbed fingers. That's what I'm referring to.
She's a fish biologist, ladies and gentlemen.
All right, what does this fish actually look like? I want you to imagine a small green brownish fish with a finned back. And now with its face, I want you to imagine the Cheshire Cat.
Oh.
Yeah, hold on to that for a moment. It's 12 inches long, approximately 30 centimeters. They are mostly scaleless.
What?
So they just got like thin, amphibian-like bodies with real big pectoral fins.
I don't like scaleless.
That's a big blenny. That's a big fish. 12 inches.
12 inches? Yeah.
A foot. Otherwise known as.
You've always been good with the metrics and the measurements.
Oh, don't worry.
She's got her measuring cup.
Where is it? I saw it. I
not a
literally
measuring
saw
cup.
it today.
It's a measuring tape.
Where is it?
I don't know, Ashley.
I thought it was right under here. I thought it was going to be a great moment, but I don't know where it went. I do have it. If we need it, I will find it.
You're correct. 12
But
inches is
luckily,
a
I
foot.
feel like a foot
So
is
my
pretty common.
my laptop is 15 inches, so it's
Oh.
probably like right around there.
Weird brag.
They were smaller in general. Yeah.
My laptop is 15 inches.
Weird brag.
All right.
Anyway.
I said that these fish live in salt water. Their range is actually quite limited. This is so dumb. Why'd I write this? They're found in temperate latitudes of the Pacific Ocean in the east.
Wait. No. Wait, we're going to figure this out. Temperate latitudes.
I clarified in the next sentence, so
I know,
go
but
ahead.
I want to figure it out.
'Kay.
Temperate latitudes of the
Pacific Ocean.
Pacific
In the east.
in the east. So like off the coast of
We're doing kind of Asia, Oceania, sort of.
right. I was like, well, or is it off the coast of California?
Oh,
You know what I'm saying though?
no, you're absolutely right.
Because the
That's
Pacific goes on both sides of the
No,
map.
absolutely. You're correct.
No, because that's what I thought originally too, but then I was like, think of the map.
I'm always like left,
Yeah.
right.
Maybe you should tell us.
East.
Do you give up?
Yep.
I'm saying off the coast of California.
No, you're
You
right.
did great, Ashley. Chris, not
that-
so much.
That was
That's
my
in
first
the
thought.
West.
So what that
Off the coast of
means,
California.
where are they specifically? They're off the coast of California.
Thank you.
From San Francisco down to Baja. Where in those waters are they found? Rocky reefs and soft bottoms.
Ooh. There's a joke to be made there.
There's. We will spare
Moving.
everybody.
Moving on. We've acknowledged it.
I wrote that down and I was like, somebody will take care of this.
He.
They are complicated swimmers.
What is...
That just means they dart around kind of like a squirrel underwater.
Oh.
I kind of
That's
like
actually
that.
a really good like visual analogy.
Yeah.
Thanks, I came up with it all by myself.
All by yourself.
Because I was like, I don't know what complicated means.
But like, as in like, they don't go in like one direct path.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Frenzied.
Frenzied, yeah, frenetic.
Kind of
just kind of like
whirly.
squirrely.
Squirrely.
Squirrelish, if you will. Ashley, when I first mentioned the sarcastic fringehead,
Yes.
I just asked.
Did you forget what species you were doing?
I was about to say Blenny. Throwback
She's
to
all
Blenny.
about Blennies.
When I first mentioned them, you were like, "Don't they like to live in things?" Well, you were on the right track. So they like to hide in tube-like things. That's the only word I can come up with. Tube-like.
Structures?
Sure. Or shell crevices. Bear with me, let's get through the basic biology, and then we'll get onward. So they eat little tiny crustaceans, squid eggs, and then I put a comma after that because I knew there was more, and apparently I walked away. So they eat some other things too. Males will hide in their tubes.
Their
Their
tubes.
structures.
That's funny. To entice a female and woo her, because then she'll lay her eggs inside the tube or crevice.
Oh.
He will then watch over the eggs until they hatch.
Oh, I love that.
Really helpful.
I
yeah.
like it.
Now, because the females are pretty selective, males are extremely aggressive. And that starts to get into why are they called sarcastic fringe heads. This is what we've been waiting for,
This
folks.
is the moment.
So sarcastic, we think sense of humor. Like, are these guys just really funny and dry about it? No, they're living in the ocean. They're kind of wet.
Damn it, I was gonna make the joke. I was ready to pounce. They can't be dry, Maggie. They live in the ocean. I feel robbed.
So, sarcastic actually originates from the Greek sarkasmos, which means to bite or tear. And like sarcasm is often a biting sense of humor,
Yeah.
is it not?
I like that.
I love that.
Yeah.
Good to know. As someone who is frequently sarcastic, I like to know the origin of
I was
where...
like,
Your
Who was
sense of
having-
humor is biting.
Who was having a conversation with this fringe head to know that they were being sarcastic? So there has to be more to it.
Yeah.
There is absolutely more to it. And that is because
the answer is biting.
the answer is in their needle sharp teeth that they use to not only bite into their prey, but to fight one another with.
Oh,
Is
wow.
it just me, or does the idea of fish having teeth upsetting to everyone? Like, I know that it makes sense that fish have to have teeth. I know it makes sense that fish have to have teeth, but for some reason, because I immediately think human teeth in a fish.
And like, who's that one fish that has like big old buck teeth?
Oh, like parrotfish.
Parrotfish, that's it.
And it's so upsetting. Like, I know fish have teeth, but like,
it's real weird.
The concept is still upsetting to me.
It's kind of creepy.
Yeah.
Okay, so just quickly rounding out its name, fringehead comes from the soft appendages that rise above his head. Appendages. And so now I want to get back into these teeth, though.
Yes.
And why they're aggressive, why they have needle-sharp teeth.
Why they upset me so much.
And remember, I said they were kind of like the Cheshire Cat.
Oh, yeah. So they have a big mouth?
So they got like a big smiley mouth, and it's like a normal little skinny. If it's
You got it. Power through.
I just broke.
Take a big sip of that sidecar.
Take two. So, if this fish can fit in a tube.
Yes.
So it's got a long, slender body, but its giant fucking face doesn't fit in there because it's a big, smiley, big-lipped, and
big old jaw.
Isn't
big
that
old jaws.
Stephen King? Is that what we're talking about now?
Oh, I know the scene you're talking about though, where like all of a sudden Pennywise is like, yeah.
Right?
All right, exactly, guys. So
We could call him Pennywise the fish.
when males are defending,
Wait, Pennywise.
It fish.
Pennywise.
she got one in, folks.
I was like, I need to make sure we get a clear recording on that.
I missed out on wet earlier.
This is my moment.
So, when these fish are defending their territory from an intruding male or a passerby, or they're trying to woo a lady.
Sorry, defending their territory, defending their tube.
Defending their tubes.
Less impressive, but understand.
The fringehead will open its big mouth, and it then resembles like the dinosaur that eats Newman in Jurassic Park.
I absolutely know the fish you're talking about now.
Yes!
I have seen footage of that when their mouth is bad enough, and then when they open it,
It also
it's
kind of
just gigantic.
It also kind of looks like, so if that reference wasn't good for you, it also kind of looks like the cockroach alien in Men in Black.
yeah.
Yes!
Okay.
So the sarcastic fringehead, two males will open their giant mouths and they will give each other like this kiss of death.
Oh god.
It's real weird looking. You should absolutely Google it.
I know. And now I know the exact species you're talking about.
And their mouth is like 3 times the size of their head once they open it.
Shouldn't be that big.
No.
Shouldn't be.
That's too big.
Nightmare material.
It is. It really is. I'm probably going to dream about that now. Okay. Fortunately, though, these guys are of least concern. They're doing fairly well.
Thank God.
There's plenty of Coke bottles and plastic.
Yeah, they are finding
Their
habitat.
fine. Very rare that happens.
I know. Isn't that a great little change?
Silver
Anywho,
lining.
so the sarcastic fringehead is just a freaky frickin' fish.
Love it.
And I thought it would just be so perfect for you two this evening.
Well, I love that Chris didn't know what it was, but then he actually did know what it was.
Again, I've seen footage. Like I know exactly what you're talking about, where they fight and it's the big
It's
mouths.
just like big
and
mouths
they kinda
going at it.
And like they can't actually bite down when their mouths are
that big.
extended that wide. So the teeth are really just kind of.
It's all like show.
Yeah.
Like,
But
look
I
how
have
big my
no
I mean, they
mouth
can certainly
is.
do some damage. Like
Yeah.
if one has a much bigger mouth than the other one, like he can fit that guy in his mouth, and then he can scratch him up. But
But I had never heard that name, and I must not have been paying attention.
also,
Because that is a lot. Sarcastic.
I'm very surprised though that neither one of you called the other one a sarcastic fringehead.
All right.
All right, so that's it, and I made it without being too drunk.
Yay! That's all we asked
That's
for.
why we did small glasses.
Yeah, that's what we're gonna refill
Yeah.
so that we can go into Chris's animal.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because
Ready?
there are props.
There are props.
There are. It's,
Chris, are you ready?
Now is your moment. What did you forget?
For those.
no, I'm ready.
Oh,
I'm
just
nervous.
excitement. Don't be
nervous.
nervous.
Don't be.
For our audio listeners, you can't see, but Chris has both props and printed out notes, and I just feel like that's crucial to point out.
I mean, and I do have my
Packaging.
laptop, but I did print out the notes just in case.
Honestly just jealous you have a printer.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I printed reluctantly because I was like, I shouldn't print the notes if I have them.
Listen, we love
But
it.
I wanted to
printing
be able to like
things.
show you pictures and stuff like that.
Oh, okay.
Oh my God. Usually we just Google and it looks like we're ignoring one another.
No, well,
Above
you
and
can.
beyond.
That
I'm
was what
very
we're
excited.
here for.
Okay.
All right. I'm ready to guess.
Yeah. I was saying, if you have a clue, you don't have to
I
have a
do.
clue. Okay.
He knows.
He's like,
he knows the
I know how this
drill.
works.
I
And
know the game.
I actually had several versions of it, but the one that I think I settled on is Hamlet, textile worker.
Hamlet, textile worker.
Orb weaver.
Very, very close. Good job. 50% right.
So some kind of weaver.
Correct.
Okay.
Hamlet.
Hamlet. Come on, theater buff.
I know. I've only seen
Small
Hamlet
town.
once. Oh, I was gonna say a Hamlet could also not be Shakespeare. It could be a small
Oh.
a town weaver. A bush weaver, a social weaver.
Oh, yeah. Those are
I
all-
fucking know weavers
I
too.
know.
You're
But what is it?
I knew weavers like 4 drinks ago.
But what is the kind? Hamlet.
Small town weaver.
Just a small town weaver. Living in
the
lonely
lonely world.
world.
Wait, what country is it in? It doesn't matter. Don't tell us.
it's sub-Saharan Africa.
Yeah.
I don't think that helps.
Yeah.
What color is it? I don't care.
I don't think that helps either. I think what's another word for a small town or a hamlet?
Oh, Hamlet.
This shouldn't be the most difficult part, and yet
Rural.
we're struggling.
But it's a
Village.
Oh.
Village weaver?
Uh-huh.
What?
Well done.
Yay!
All right, I had nice. Actually,
I
I was like, we did that together, and I was like, no, Maggie got Weaver too.
Yeah.
That's all, Maggie.
She said it kind of, checking in with you, and you were
That's
like,
true.
yeah.
She started with a spider, and I
I'll
got
endorse
us to
that.
a
I
bird.
will endorse the word
I said
village.
orb weaver, but my picture in my head was a bird.
It was a bird.
But then I caught
Oh, this is very exciting. I know like a little bit about weavers, but I've clearly never heard of a village.
This is great.
Yeah, so 2 reasons. One, I was a Peace Corps volunteer in West Africa.
Yes.
We
And
know that, but
they
the world
are,
doesn't.
well, and
This
so,
is great.
Our
This is
audience
great.
doesn't
know.
They're going to learn about you.
well, and they were a very common species. Like,
Oh.
so every single day of my existence in Niger
Yeah.
was village weavers were there. And not just like background kind of, forget about it or background kind of annoying. They're cool. They're interesting. They're engaging.
Yeah.
They're gregarious. They're, loud. Like, so, and then in grad school, I actually did a research project on them. And I went back to Niger and did a study, which I'll bring up later with my fun facts.
Oh my, God, love it. I love a personal touch.
Yeah, so I decided that if I was going to be here one time, I was going to do something that had meaning to
Yeah.
me, and was for something that's a little bit perhaps not well known.
Yeah.
Not because it's not common or anything. It's just kind of like almost if you're in sub-Saharan Africa, you've seen a village weaver.
Yeah.
Okay.
Safari trips.
It's like one of our
layovers.
like one of our like American Robins or like something that
Or a
you
yeah,
see
yeah.
every
Finch or
day.
something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yep, exactly, right? As the name implies, and as you realized, they are of a group of birds that do weave nests, and they're actually quite intricate. Some are even more intricate than others. Some are like not so well done, kind of like me weaving. They are found rather commonly around communities in towns in big cities.
Gotcha.
Hence the village or community sort of name.
Yeah.
So they are, the species name is Plosius cucullatus.
Love it. That was
So-
beautiful.
Also,
Thank you.
I didn't like the amount of ease that you had.
The
when you said that.
execution.
Or the amount of S's. Sometimes there's a few extras there.
You had a confidence that I've never had pronouncing a Latin
Well,
name.
so I've studied them and I had
That's
to do
fair.
presentations.
This is fair.
Okay.
So they are part, obviously they're birds, and they are,
I thought you were going to say they're part bird.
no, they're,
What's
but
the other
they are,
part?
of the passerines, right?
Mm-hmm.
The biggest group, the songbirds.
Mm-hmm.
The genus name actually is derived from the Greek word for weaving,
Ooh.
and then cucullatus is for they're hooded. So they have like a black mantle, like
Wow.
but there's 8 subspecies, and they look a little different depending on where you are in Africa. But if you just go with the black head, bright red eye on the male, black conical bill, and yellow body.
Oh, wow.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they're very pretty.
I would say they kind of remind me of a hooded warbler, but like, ooh, yeah.
The male, female.
Cool.
Okay. So
Yeah.
hooded warblers are my favorite kind of warbler. Just because they look like little ninjas, and these guys look like little ninjas.
Yeah, so these guys would be a
With
little
a
bit
bright
bigger.
yellow
But
breast.
they'd be a bit bigger
Not a
than
ninja
what
at
you're
all.
thinking of with the
It's
warbler.
the hood.
And you guys have seen them. I'm sure if
Yeah.
you guys
Yeah.
the amount of time you've been in
So-
Africa, you've seen them.
It almost looks like there's an oriole over there as well that's bright yellow with a black head. The male has a black head,
Yep.
but it's not quite the same.
Yeah, and so bigger than a warbler,
Yep.
smaller than an oriole.
Than an oriole.
Yeah, they
Okay,
kind of-
okay. Cool. That's
And
helpful.
again, there's actually another species of weaver called the black-headed weaver, which these guys are sometimes called.
Yeah.
That look very similar, but they are different. But there's additional markings. Like I said, beyond the black, there's like this chestnut or kind of brown edge to things.
Yeah.
Delightful.
Yeah. Anyways, so they are for IUCN. They're least concern.
Okay.
So they're doing
Great.
well.
Doing good.
Starting on a high note.
I would say living like named after like village, like living
Just-
near other people. Like,
Yeah, and just like
doing pretty
our
good.
sarcastic fringehead.
fringehead. Yep, that was him.
Least concern,
Yeah.
right? So yeah,
Guys,
and
my animal's also least concern.
we chose animals that are doing well.
They're far and few between.
Yes.
Yeah.
But because they are very comfortable around humans, like
yeah.
fields, communities,
Yeah.
towns, villages, they're actually spreading, right? So they're actually increasing in number. So
There's another bird I recently learned about that's very comfortable around people. Pinion jays. They're very comfortable living in neighborhoods and around people, and that's I could go on, but I don't want to interrupt you.
I do
No.
feel like birds are a species that like most like I mean mammals.
Birds
like,
are a species.
Okay, I didn't finish that thought. Which birds are not a species. Okay, I understand I was wrong. Birds are a group of animals
yeah,
that I feel like tend to be, especially smaller birds, like tend to be like whatever, there's humans around. Whereas like larger birds have a like, you know, they're not going to be as close because they take longer to fly away.
There's not a lot of secretary
like,
birds around here.
What?
Nothing.
Did you say there's not a lot of secretary birds around here? Yeah. But like mammals, like even the ones like we see squirrels, but like everything else, like usually is pretty hidden.
Yeah.
But like birds are like, okay, like I can handle people because you fuckers can't fly.
yeah. I can get out of here if I want
At
to.
the end of the day, I can get out of here.
Yeah.
And a number of them that they benefit from. So a lot of them are seed eaters, right?
Ooh,
and
okay.
so as you know, humans plant.
Oh, and
We got agriculture going on.
Yeah, and so village weavers are one of those. They mostly eat seeds. In some areas, they are considered a pest.
Yeah.
But for the most part, they're not like persecuted or whatever.
good. Okay.
Nice.
And they've been introduced into Venezuela. And
Wow.
exactly, right? Why? And then 3 of the islands, Hispaniola, and then 2 other ones in the Caribbean. But like humans were like, let's just bring them.
They're like, these
randomly.
are pretty. We don't like to think about the consequences of our actions.
No, look at the starling.
And the house sparrows. Look at them all.
Thanks, Shakespeare.
Yeah.
Anyway, so they've been introduced to other areas, but they're widespread in sub-Saharan Africa. So,
Next page.
yep.
Yeah.
And so
Let's
again,
get to the props.
Guys, he also printed in color,
yeah,
which
they are proficient at weaving nests.
They weave very beautiful tapestries that are later hung in European
I just
tapestries.
want to say I just got into crocheting, so like I understand where they're coming
They're the
from.
community. What was my guess? My clue?
They're the textile
Textile makers.
worker.
Yeah.
I know, village weaver. Like I'm just thinking of like some really old woman who's got a hunched back and
And
she's like,
she's just
"I'll
like-
make you something," you know.
Yeah, but it's the males that actually why the group is called weavers because it's the males that actually make the nests.
Oh.
Yeah.
They are the only group of the only group of animals. I'm going to be so bold as to say animals that are known to make knots.
Oh.
That was a random, like...
Well, other than humans.
Yes.
I can make a knot, Chris.
Yeah, other than humans, sorry.
Apparently hagfish.
Make
Make
knots?
Oh, they make knots out of their body.
Yeah.
Okay, that doesn't
Okay,
count.
no, but this is like more like, it's not tool use.
I know.
But like,
but I swear I saw it was some bird. Wasn't it crows actually that were like?
I mean,
No. Pardon me. I'm misremembering. It's certain, and it is crows though. They have been observed recently taking the spikes that are used to deter birds from landing on a ledge of an office building. They've been observed taking those spikes and putting them in their nests.
oh.
Yeah.
That's definitely not making a knot. But it is interesting.
no, but also
But it's
the corvids are
definitely
too smart for their own good.
Not
So,
a knot.
But that is wild. Both the spikes
and the
knots.
birds. Sorry. But so their nests, which I have some photos
it's so
of,
incredible.
which there are weavers that make far more intricate nests than this. This is a show and tell. I have a few other ones. So they are community or colonial nesters.
Okay.
Oh,
So they do
cool.
prefer to nest in.
All together.
Yeah. So
All together now.
so the males make the nests, but it's the females that choose the nests that they want to nest in.
Okay, so the males are like making their like, this is what I got. This
Yeah.
is what I've made. Look how strong
Look at this-
I am. Look how
And
talented.
it is
Look at
a
my knots.
Dream home.
It is a little bit. It's fun to watch because the males get desperate when the females come to the communities. Like even males that have not completed their nests are singing and calling and
Yeah.
hanging off their nests like it is the best thing, and they literally just have like the first loop made, right?
Wow.
So the females are the ones that will choose, and the thing is, it's very interesting. The nest has to be of a certain, I guess, age or sort of dryness.
Okay.
So the males will take strips of grass or palm leaves or leaves to make it.
Yeah.
If it's too dry, the females are like, yeah, it's too old. I don't want it. So the male will make this
They don't
whole
want
complicated
vintage.
nest. And if they don't get the female interested in time, he has to start over again. And just
Yeah.
keep building new nests
Yeah.
and new nests and new nests until the female's like, okay.
What a textile worker.
Can I just say I love this because I immediately think house hunters, and like I want there to be there's some crossover between like house hunters and birds making amazing
Village
nests.
weavers.
But also I think it's important to point out that Chris now works in real estate, so I just like am picturing like Chris being like, look at this one, and it's like got like 4 little reeds. That's all it's been.
Look,
built,
I'm
but,
sorry, that's
but
all we
he's gotta
got.
sell
Oh my
it.
God.
Like what a weird circle of
I hadn't
like.
thought about that.
We're
That's
talking
hilarious.
about.
Am I a
this-
male village weaver?
You may be.
Just calling and screaming,
You
trying to
did.
get somebody to buy.
Oh my God,
You're like,
please
for the love of
buy
God, buy
this.
this. And
Oh
they're
my
like, it's
God.
too old. You're like, no, it's a new build, I swear.
It's kind of sad.
I love that connection.
Right?
So the village weavers, they're fine being human
Villages?
like
Around people.
what's the word?
Civilization.
Inhabitation? That's not a word.
No.
Civilization. There we go. But they will also like purposely build their nests in trees that have like bees nests or wasp
interesting.
nests as a deterrent to predators.
Okay.
So the females, if they choose a nest, then they will lay their eggs, and the male will go on to build other nests and attract other females.
Wow, it's just on to the next.
Yeah. So the female's
he's a
like, got
playboy.
this.
Wow.
Thank you for
He's
the
a
house.
gigolo.
So the male is just like churning out the content here.
So they say that
real
in
estate.
in a single breeding season, they may be successful in getting 3 nests built that get females
To
to
lay
breed
eggs
them.
in.
Yeah. But they may build up to 25 nests
Whoa.
in a season.
Oh, shit.
Which is generally just during the rainy season. It's
Is
just that one time a year.
Is that reflective of the current real estate market?
It is absolutely
Just keep building them.
exactly.
Oh my God. Okay.
Yep.
What happens to all the ones that aren't lived
That
in?
no one gets to.
That no one buys.
So a couple things. So those just get left. So you'll see colonies that are like hundreds of nests, but not all of them are being
Are
used.
inhabited.
Wow, so it's like most of the apartment buildings in DC.
Yes, yes. Many analogies to real estate here. But males are also very prone to stealing building materials.
Oh God,
From
And be
their
like, oh look,
neighbors.
I made this.
Well, not building stealing the whole thing.
Oh, gotcha.
But they will tear apart
Oh.
material
okay.
to build their nest. So
Gotcha,
Wow,
lots of
that's-
competition there.
To flip their nest.
That's really there's a word.
That's really
There is a word.
There is a word. An audience, if you could figure it out, I'd like you to let us know it.
So they're actually very social in their just in general,
Yeah.
right? But like they will even communicate to each other about like where to find food.
Oh.
So again, they tend to be, even when they're non-breeding, like very social
Communicative, cooperative.
and communal, like living and the whole thing.
What other words begin with C?
But the most interesting thing, in my opinion, and
Oh.
I'm sorry, you will edit as much of this out as you need
Oh,
to.
it's all staying in.
No, but female village weavers lay the most variable eggs of any bird out there. So chickens,
I've
right?
heard of them.
Lay different eggs, right?
Yeah.
You know
So
chickens,
there's
right?
white eggs, there's brown eggs, there's some eggs that have a little bit of markings on them.
Yeah.
There's other species of birds that make like really crazy colored eggs,
Yeah.
right? Like individual females will lay the same type of egg.
Mm-hmm.
So their whole will
So
always be
they'll all look the same.
no
from
for that one
female.
female. But in a single colony,
Yeah.
you'll have anything from completely white eggs with no markings on them
Yeah.
to
Traditional.
like deep blue eggs with like heavily brown specks on them, and then everything in between. Okay? And the question is, why would a bird do that?
Would love to know.
So it turns out that village weavers are a host for a brood parasite. What is a brood parasite?
Oh, I love brood
Oh
parasites.
my God.
Right?
Okay.
Yes. What one? Is it a kind of cowbird? Or a cuckoo?
It is a cuckoo.
Oh, I was like, those are the two I know most.
So it turns
often.
out that the village weaver is a host for the Diedrich's cuckoo, which is a species of cuckoo in sub-Saharan Africa that is an obligate brood parasite. What's an obligate brood parasite?
Can I guess?
Yeah.
They have to do it. They
Yeah.
can't raise their own young.
They
Right.
do not make nests. They do not raise their own, right? So that means if
They
we
have
can't
to give
make
it-
this happen,
Then I don't
have any
reproduce.
success.
correct. So if you are doing that, such as cowbirds and other cuckoos,
Yeah.
you would think, why don't the host
Yeah.
Notice.
be like, that's not my egg?
Yeah.
Because in most birds they don't. Even if the like the cowbird lays an egg that's like 10 times bigger.
But it's wild where the egg will be
Frigate?
like 3 times the young will be like as big
3
as the
times
parents,
size.
and they're
Yep.
just like, well, I'm gonna take care of it.
Yeah.
And you can see evolutionarily why that might happen, because you don't want to make a mistake and toss out one of your own eggs or
Yeah.
toss out one of your
Ugly
own
little
youngs,
duckling.
right?
Yeah.
But the ugly duckling? Oh.
The Ugly Duckling was actually about a commentary on brood parasitism. People don't realize this.
God, I didn't realize that.
It's not.
It's not. Anyways,
But now I want it to be.
so
That is a different child. I'm writing that book.
back to the village weavers.
Yeah.
So the question of why do they lay such variable eggs
Yeah.
within a single species? Well, it turns out Diedrich's cuckoos also lay variable eggs depending on the cuckoo. They've been studied, and they do have the most variability of a single species of bird between individuals for their egg coloration. And it begs the question of why.
Yeah.
And it turns out that the hypothesis, which has been studied and
Tested?
evidence, has shown, is that there is a bit of an evolutionary arms race
Oh.
between the Diedrich's cuckoo
Uh-huh.
and the village weaver, because the Diedrich's cuckoo lays just as variable of eggs,
Okay.
or almost,
Yeah.
but they can't tell the type of egg of the nest that they're going to parasitize until they're in it, because they lay these woven closed nests.
Yeah.
So the Diedrich's cuckoo flies in, is there, and it's like, well, shit, I need to lay an egg. And they
Yeah.
just lay it. But they have no idea if that nest that they're going to lay their egg in
Is occupied?
is a similar egg type to the one that they're going to lay.
Okay.
Right? Because it could be white, it could be blue.
Oh.
And female village weavers have been shown to be able to recognize and then reject eggs that do not look
so
like
they
their
can
own.
do it.
Which is very unusual in
Yeah.
general for hosts of brood parasites.
Yeah. To like have a defense almost.
Parasites?
Parasitic.
Parasitic birds.
Yes. That is the theory, is that there's some sort of like evolutionary arms race between the two of them.
Or like if we keep changing it up, they won't be able to like match it. But okay, so this does beg the question then, do they have any kind of control?
Yeah.
Both the cuckoo and the weaver. Do they have any control over what they're laying? Or is it just like
no, so
random, hopefully we find the one that wins kind of thing?
So that is from the parasites side of things. They have developed the ability to lay variable eggs.
Yeah.
Generally
within the group, but not within the individual.
Okay,
Gotcha.
right, yeah.
But they can't quite match the individual that they're laying the egg into their nest.
So it's not like they go into a village weaver's nest, see a blue egg
And
with
say,
brown
"Oh, I can't do
speckles,
that."
and they're like, I'm gonna,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
Blue's not in my repertoire, I gotta leave.
Right, but can the village weaver distinguish what it wants to lay?
So it doesn't make any changes
Okay.
based on the type of egg. It's just, that individual female will be either a clear white egg or a white egg with spots, or a blue egg that's clear, or a blue egg with spots. But because the parasite can't know, it'll lay whatever egg it does.
Yeah.
And then if the village weaver can tell that egg is not theirs,
Yeah. They have a better
based on any
Yeah.
any way that they can distinguish it and can reject it, then they wouldn't end up raising.
Gotcha.
Right?
So like basically if it's random all the time,
Correct.
then they're gonna
The chances are going to be pretty remote that somehow that's going to add up.
those line up.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And so there's been studies to look at how the host can do that. And so people have gone in the field and
Are you one of those people?
I was one of those people.
Oh my god.
The connections are made.
Where we took eggs that were artificial
Yeah.
to the best of our ability and then tried to artificially change things out, right? So scientists have gone to the field and they've actually done artificial parasitism where they've taken an egg out and replaced it with something. That was done in areas where they were introduced, but it hadn't been done back in natural populations. So in grad school, another grad student and myself, we went to 2 different areas and we did experiments where we changed out the eggs.
Yeah.
And pretty much we found out immediately that they could tell our artificial eggs.
Wow.
Damn.
I mean, sometimes it was as we were climbing back down the tree,
Yeah. They were like, fuck off.
there was an egg that would fall.
Oh, they would throw it out.
Yeah, that's by reject. They would literally take it out of the
Actually
nest and
take
throw
it
it out.
Wow.
So then we started
I
taking
love that.
eggs from other nests
Yeah.
and trying to match them as close
Right.
as we could. And it was almost 100% rejection in the field. The females are that capable.
Attuned
They can
to,
smell like there's a difference.
They can see the difference. They
See
can
and smell.
tell. I mean, it's essentially because of the color variation of both the egg base color and the spots.
Yeah.
This gets back into like, we've talked about this before on the podcast, the different colors. Oh God, there's some props.
There's props coming out.
The colors that animals can see
Oh, yeah.
that we certainly can't. Oh,
We've been
my
very
God.
into recently animal senses.
Yeah.
And the amount. Wait, are these real?
No, those are the
these are
fake
the
eggs.
deep
that
Oh,
we
okay.
created.
I was like, how did they make it this long?
No, those eggs are 24 years old.
Oh my god.
Oh my God.
So I kept
Also-
some after the
Oh,
experiments.
that's so fun. Also,
like-
I play a lot of the game Wingspan, and so every time you're talking about like fake eggs, there's eggs involved in the game, and that's all I can think of. And these are pretty close. So
So
So then we started trying to do things where the eggs were as close as we could, like
Right. Like,
but
because like
again,
these are like a bird, you could be like, okay, well maybe they can tell it's not an egg. But if it's like, okay, it is an egg, that's slightly different, but it is in fact an egg, and they were still like, fuck off.
And so that's when we started taking eggs from other nests because we were like, maybe it's a weight difference. Maybe there is some sort of
you can feel
textural difference or whatever. Even with those, not as much as the artificial ones, but the artificial ones, they were like, So
it's so interesting because I remember like when I was in college, one of the first things in one of my animal behavior classes was talking about, I think they called them FAP, which are fixed action patterns, where it's like a baby bird opens its mouth, bird sees yellow ring, which is what like is made, we feed it. So it's like this idea of like they're kind of autonomous, you know, like birds don't know the difference, where this is like obviously not the case. Like birds are very much in tune, and again I think it varies species to species, but it's like in direct contradiction of what I learned. And again, that wasn't just like this is for all birds, but it was like something of like a bird is going to see this shape and they're going to feed it whatever it is. So this is like just so interesting to me.
And the belief is around why this wouldn't occur in more birds because there's brood parasitism like all throughout the bird world, right? Ducks do it, like there's other warblers, like a lot of cuckoos, honey guys do it. Anyways, is that it might be suppressed because if you make the mistake and throw out the wrong egg,
that's a big mistake.
That's bad.
So that's why we may not see it that frequently.
That's a real big risky move if they're not gonna raise their own young,
right?
I mean, essentially any brood parasite is taking that risk to say
big gamblers.
Yeah.
But it's been shown that by laying their egg in enough different nests that they're getting at least 50%, then there isn't enough evolutionary pressure to say don't do that.
Yeah. Clearly they're succeeding enough. And like they're
and some
laying
of them,
enough eggs that
they produce more and more and more eggs. So it's you sort of take your chances. By just doing that as often as possible.
Yeah, and you also have the resources to produce more eggs because you don't have to raise them. You don't have to put that energy in. Oh, such a good one. And I love a personal connection.
Yes.
Which I do not have for my animals.
You know what? I love props.
I love props. I love personal connections. I have neither of those with my next animal.
Can't wait.
But I promise you it's good. So do not worry.
And it is a species of less concern.
Yeah, we know that.
Least concern.
That's your
so you also like don't even have to care about it. Let's be honest. Lady and gentlemen, are you ready for this animal?
Yes, for the third time.
I was like, I don't know what to pick. Like, I knew not to pick a bird because I knew Chris was gonna pick a bird. Sorry. Okay, so my clue is this is an indecent spy in my ceiling.
A flamboyant.
Fringe. Oh no, that was the sarcastic.
I'm actually doing this.
Wait, what was in her ceiling that time? Was it a raccoon?
It was a rat.
Oh, it was a rat.
Is it like an ROUS?
It's the type of rat. Is
an
a rat.
Indecent.
Naked
mole rat.
Yes. At the same time.
As soon as it indecent, I was like, oh. There was no clothes on that rat.
I've got no clothes, nothing.
No hair?
No
nothing.
hair.
Rat.
About 100 hairs, and that's about it.
I am so ready for this.
So you said an indecent what in your ceiling?
Spy, because a mole.
A mole.
I didn't want to go with like, I want to do a little something different. Like,
that's good.
A mole.
Yeah.
I felt like it was one of my stronger clues.
That was a good one. That was a good clue.
Based on my research.
Yes. You're like, can confirm. But yes, I'm doing the naked mole wrap or the...
Wrap? Start it over.
Yes, I am doing the naked mole rat or the heterocephalus glaber.
What?
Glaber.
It's definitely not globber.
Well, it could be if you're me. It is a burrowing rodent native to the Horn of Africa and parts of Kenya. It's in Africa.
I'm still stuck on the heterocephalus glaber.
Heterocephalus glaber. Glaber. Glaber.
I want to know what that means.
Heterocephalus.
So
Cephalus
different
is like
head.
Different
head, but what glaber?
All right. Well, here's the
Spider?
thing. There's a
Is it
lot
glaber
to talk
spider?
about.
So we
Sorry.
got to keep
So
going.
I didn't
sorry.
dig into the Latin
Sorry.
there. I am so no.
You're like, you shouldn't have got caught up on that.
Now is not the time.
Sorry.
I love where
Sorry.
your head is at, but we have a lot to
Why
talk
is it
about.
naked?
But our audience wants to keep moving
Again,
on.
not even the most interesting part of this thing.
My
Just
bad.
you wait.
Yep.
I did put a note though that apparently one nickname for it is a sand puppy, which I do not like.
I don't like it either.
That's gross.
If
Yep.
anyone's seen a naked mole rat, they're not cute.
They're not like a puppy.
See if anyone's
They're
seen a naked puppy.
just kind of gonna move quickly through some of the basics.
The basic biology.
Bullet points.
Basic
Bullet
biology.
points.
Bullet points. Typical individuals are between 8 and 10 centimeters, 3 to 4 inches long.
That tiny.
Little guys. Weight 30 to 35 grams, 1.1 to 1.2 ounces, which does feel very small. Little dudes. Again,
Yeah.
these
I
are
thought they were
typical
bigger.
individuals. There
Yeah.
are atypical individuals. They have very little hair, hence naked.
Naked.
They only have I think it's 100 hairs, where you think of a sea otter that has 10,000 hairs to a
Per square inch.
Yeah.
things like that.
Do you think, real quick,
Yeah.
animals call us naked apes?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
in comparison, we are naked.
These
apes.
guys.
I mean, yeah, you look at the dog. The amount of hair I pull off of Ollie is equivalent to
Yeah.
my total hair.
They're like,
Yeah,
my
yeah.
naked owner.
They're like,
Yeah.
listen. But because they have little hair, if you ever see them, you probably will. You probably know what I'm talking about. Their wrinkled pink and yellowish skin is very prominent, and a lot of this is because they stay warm underground, based on the tunnels that they make. They huddle together for warmth. To get into, but a lot of us, if we need hair when we're above ground to protect ourselves from the sun, and they don't need that. They don't need to be protected by the sun because they're underground all the fucking time.
Cuddling.
What?
Cuddling.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
cuddling. Super cute. Like I just mentioned, they are well adapted to live underground. They have very small eyes, very poor vision, visual acuity. That is not the sense that they are relying on. They also don't have external ear flaps. I get over.
They have internal ear flaps?
They just don't have ear flaps. There's
Okay.
holes.
Okay.
Like a seal.
Like a seal. Okay,
Yes.
got it.
They have very large incisors, their teeth. Big old teeth, and they use their bottom ones to grasp objects.
The bottom ones, so they're
So they have ability to move their teeth. Does that upset you? Because it upset me.
Yeah.
oh.
And also, this is again,
Prehensile teeth.
reminder. This is a bullet point. This isn't the most interesting thing about them.
We're not there yet.
We're not there. But they do have very large, very prominent incisors, and they can control their movement. They primarily are eating tubers
Thank God.
underground.
Tubers?
Tubers.
They're eating tubers.
Tubers.
What's a fucking tuber?
It's like a root.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is better than eating anything else with those big old
with
teeth.
those teeth. I'm glad it's something that's not sentient.
Correct.
Okay, great.
And then I put a note. Overall, they're pretty ugly. And I'm a person who doesn't like rodents to begin with.
Blah.
I think they're incredibly interesting and super cool, but they're one of the ugliest animals.
They're a little unattractive.
They're not fun.
I know what they look like, but now is the time to Google just to...
Google it.
Because when
Just
they
to
say they
Google
have
it.
large incisors, you're like, no, they stick out of their face.
Oh yeah, they don't hide them.
They're
they don't
not
have
like
they don't have
big.
lips.
I have big incisors.
Oh, God,
Me too.
they're
I have vampire teeth.
disgusting.
Correct. They don't
I
stick out of my
think
mouth.
one thing to think of if you think of a lot of rodents have really underdeveloped babies, these are just like the babies but big. They look underdeveloped.
Correct.
But they're
100 hairs.
But they are fully developed. They are in fact good to go.
They were like 100's enough. You
Like-
don't need any more hair.
We're good. We've got all we need, right? Who needs more than that? But one thing a lot of things are interesting about them. Another bullet point, they're the longest lived rodent with a lifespan of, guess it. Guess how long they live.
10 years.
Nope.
Oh, damn.
I was going to guess 13 to 20.
Nope.
Higher or lower?
Higher.
Oh my Lord. 42.
Close. 37.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
That is surprising.
Yeah, they live a long fucking time.
That's really weird.
I think the next longest living is porcupines, which is like mid-20s.
My earrings are porcupine quills.
I was going to ask you that earlier.
I apologize in advance for all the audio you might be catching of them.
So we're going to dive right into one of the first things. Their living situation. If you listen, I think it was like maybe 2 episodes ago, I talked about leafcutter ants. Which, Chris, so you have not heard that episode. Do you know anything about leafcutter ants and their living situation?
No.
Okay.
I mean, they're colonial?
Yes!
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 Caste system.
Yeah, they've got like, so they are eusocial is the technical term.
True social animals.
Which is like, honestly, in like the natural world, it's considered like the highest form of social
Because I'm not
living.
eusocial.
No. Eusocial is like
I'm barely social.
You're helping out with somebody else. You're making sure they succeed. They're very not selfish. What's unselfish?
Selfless?
Yes.
Oh.
They're a very selfless animal. But the thing is that they are the only eusocial mammal. So when you think of eusocial societies in the animal world, you're thinking ants, bees are like the primary example, wasps, termites, insects.
All insects.
But these are mammals. They only have 100 hairs, but they are mammals. And
Blech.
they are the only eusocial mammal. I think one place there was like a different kind of mole rat that was also eusocial. But maybe. It's this one. Yeah. So they live in colonies of anywhere between 20 to 300 individuals.
Wow.
Usually the average is about 75.
Okay.
And they live in this complex system of burrows that can stretch up to 3 to 5 kilometers in cumulative. Cumulative.
Cumulative?
You mean like in total?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Cumulative length. 3 to 5
Is
kilometers.
she making up a new word?
Okay, remember when you can say herbivore?
Was it communal again? Was it communal?
Yeah.
Cumulative length. So basically this is a naked mole rat 5K is their burrow system.
Okay.
These tunnels do have a tendency to stay warm. Again, they live in sub-Saharan Africa, but the tunnel system can usually stay around 86 degrees. So they don't need, they do cuddle for warmth, but you think of mammals like we can control our bodies, but like they need a little bit of extra help. And so being in this warm tunnel system helps. Within this tunnel system, there are different chambers with different purposes.
Oh, wow.
So there is like the nesting chamber. There is a chamber that you go to feed.
There's a chamber of commerce.
There's a chamber of commerce where you're making deals.
You get your documents stamped.
Exactly. There's a food storage chamber. There is like the latrine.
Latrine.
Yes.
Yes.
Chris was so
I was
excited.
ready for that one.
Oh my
So
gosh.
excited.
They have
Yeah.
like their Turkish
mention-
baths.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay.
So there is a complex system of tunnels.
This is a children's book in the making.
Oh my god, except it gets a little weird now.
Oh,
Like I
'cause they're-
mentioned, they're eusocial. And so what do you know about bees in terms of reproduction?
Isn't it all the queen?
Yeah.
It's just one.
They've got one, which like in bees, you're like, okay, but now think about it in terms of mammals. You've
not
got
okay.
one reproducing female, which means she's significantly larger
Ew.
and like designed differently.
A queen mole rat.
Yeah. So the thing about eusocial creatures is that they have cooperative brood care. So they have one queen who is creating all of the young. They breed with, in this case, in naked mole rats, they're breeding with like 1 to 3 different males. And they're the only one breeding. So there are females that exist, but they have like suppressed their hormones so that they are not breeding.
Almost sounds like beginning of Handmaid's
I was
Tale.
going to
my
say,
God.
it feels very Handmaid's Tale, but this is nature and not the Bible, I promise. So they only have one female that is reproducing. She's usually reproducing for 13 to 18 years. Still a long fucking time.
Oh God, that sounds like the 19 kids and counting mom.
Right? Michelle Duggar. Shout out. But yeah, so she is the only one reproducing.
With like 4 of her concubines.
Yes.
Oh, wait, do we know that?
Wild.
Is it just
It's
one
only,
male?
It's
or
like
is it,
1 to
other...
3 males, and they're
Oh,
and they are
sorry.
like choosing males that are genetically like distinct, like
How do they know? They're just
Smell.
I
genetically
think smell.
distinct. If she
smell.
I think the whole thing with them is smell. With
well,
the
because
mole
they
rats.
can't see, so then what other senses are they using?
Smell is definitely
Touch.
helping out.
With their big old pinchy incisors.
With that, again, they can feel like through these incisors. They are tactile. Anyway.
Sorry. Sorry about that.
But so if you're not the queen, if you're not one of these breeding males, you're basically just a worker. And the workers are gathering food, they're maintaining the nest, they're building the tunnel system, they're protecting the cluster or the colony. A lot of the ones that are protecting are a bit bigger. They don't have quite, it seems like the distinct caste system that the leafcutter ants do that I talked about a couple episodes ago, but they are basically just doing like the extra work.
Yeah.
Now, when the female does die, or if she's like removed, like they've done in scientific studies, there is an
understudy?
As a theater person, I love that. But it's not quite what it is.
Okay.
So, like I mentioned before, non-reproducing females appear to reproductively suppress their reproductive system. Let me say reproductive
One more time.
one more time. But when the queen leaves or dies, they become more sexually active, and there's usually kind of a violent struggle to become the queen, to become the one. And I don't know what the winning factor is. Not gonna lie, didn't get that far.
Do you know?
I feel like it's not something that you want to think about.
Probably not.
I think it's violent with those big incisors.
They're used for like
Ew, what did,
to fight for the right to breed.
Like
I mean,
it's
every animal that isn't
That's what they're doing.
every animal is fighting for the right to breed.
that is true.
Just jump on a dating app.
That is one of the better analogies this evening.
But so once the new female is established, the new queen's body expands the space between the vertebrae and her backbone to become longer and ready to bear pups. So like there are physical
I don't like what you just said.
changes.
I don't like anything about what you just said.
Which is why I included it. And I think this is, again, it's very much like projection of like being a mammal myself. Where like
As a mammal.
I can speak on behalf of
Wow,
other
we
mammals.
went back like several, like what, eras? What is that?
Eons,
It's like, as a mammal.
Like in terms of like bees or like termites, it doesn't feel like there's a certain disconnect. But then when you put it in like this is another mammal, which is doing something totally wild. Where if you put it in human terms, because it's like so closely, you're like, Handmaid's Tale. It's wild. But I do want to point out that this isn't why I picked this animal. That wasn't the craziest thing to me. Well, we're going to go into why I picked this animal. It's because naked mole rats don't feel pain the way we do.
What?
In fact, there's a good amount of pain they just don't feel. So, the sensation of pain comes from our nociceptors that detect harmful stimuli. Naked mole rats have far fewer of these. They still have them, but they have far fewer, and a lot of them have been blocked. So they can still feel like, I think it's like if you were like to pinch them or like if they were to get a cut, but they can't feel like acid pain. So those nociceptors are not activated by acid. So they're not bothered by capsaicin? It's the spice in peppers.
The peppers, yeah.
That doesn't bother them. They can sniff vinegar all day long and they're not bothered. Like where if we were to sniff, vinegar, you're like, oh God, or something like that. Or you eat a spicy pepper, they don't feel the pain from acids. And so why?
Yeah,
why is
that was
that? So it is evolutionarily beneficial. If you've ever seen naked mole rats, you've probably seen them in a zoo. They often are in these displays with like glass walls. And like I mentioned before, they cuddle. So when they're sleeping, a lot of naked mole mole rats. Naked mole rat.
I think
That's a
said
Kim
raps.
Possible shout out for people, but I think I'm the only one who understands that reference.
Didn't she
here.
have a naked mole rat?
Yeah, his name was Rufus.
Okay.
Naked mole rat.
Oh.
Or her partner, Ron, had one named Rufus.
Okay.
But so if you've ever seen them, and like I mentioned before, they cuddle together. So they often will like sleep all in one of these
Cuddle puddle.
cuddle puddles.
Oh God.
Exactly. But when you're all sleeping together in an enclosed space, what are you gonna run out of?
Air.
Yeah, oxygen.
Yeah.
You're gonna run out of oxygen. But so when you run out of oxygen, you're also increasing the carbon dioxide in a space. So in a normal space, 0.03% of the air is carbon dioxide, a very low percent. If levels shot up to just 3%, you would start to hyperventilate and panic, you being a human being. Our mucous membranes would acidify, our eyes would sting, our nose would burn, it would just suck generally. If it goes to 3% where a naked mole rat is, they don't flinch. Nothing. They don't feel this acidic, like if our mucous membranes are acidifying, they're not feeling that. So an evolutionary adaptation is to not feel this pain. So where at 3% we would hyperventilate, they don't feel the effects of carbon dioxide until about 10% of the air is carbon dioxide.
They're cool with climate change.
I mean, I guess technically...
They could have evolved
Yeah.
when like the dinosaurs were here. They were like, we're good with this.
Yeah, that's fine.
But yeah, so it's basically an part of it, we don't know, what came first, the mole rat or the carbon dioxide, the classic...
I was going carbon dioxide, but it's okay.
question.
Yeah.
But it seems like a big part of them not having these receptors to this acid pain is that they can withstand high levels of carbon dioxide and low levels of oxygen. They can actually go 18 minutes without oxygen.
Whoa.
Just hanging out in these, and again, it's so wild to think it's just because they're just in these piles of naked mole rats where they don't have as much oxygen.
So after 18 minutes, they're like scrambling through skin to get some air?
I guess so. Or it's that I don't know what the sleeping schedule is, or like how often they rotate.
Okay, Sue, you go for air now.
It's
your turn.
All right, go monitor the tunnels a little bit. But yeah, so they basically evolved to be able to extend high levels of carbon dioxide. And because of that, there's like a myth that they don't feel pain at all, and that's not true. They do feel certain kinds of pain, and like, again, pain is a subjective kind of feeling, or like levels of pain and stuff like that. But there are certain nociceptors that they just don't have, where I don't want to say you can pour acid on a naked mole rat.
Or give them like a
but
ghost
like if
pepper.
you were to squeeze, you were to give them
Yeah.
a ghost pepper, squeeze, a lemon or whatever on like an open wound, there's a good chance that they're not going to respond. Which to me is just wild. Like, could you imagine?
Boggled.
There's probably what 0.006% of humans that like don't have those, and that's the people who like love spicy shit. And they're basically a naked mole rat. You have a question?
No. I was like, I like spicy shit.
I like spicy shit.
Yeah. But
Gotcha.
I'm not a naked mole rat.
I literally only have 2 other lines
Okay.
of information. One that I didn't dig
What is
into.
left though? What can they do?
I know.
Right? Well, here's the thing, and I don't dig into it because it got really into like the genetics, is that naked mole rats rarely get cancer. They are like basically like anti-cancer creators.
We are
Compared to everything else, or compared to what we know?
I mean, I guess compared to what we know, but like they have again, I didn't get into it, so like disregard most of what I'm saying next. But I think it's something along the lines of like where they have genes that make it so like they don't get tumors. And so they are very, like, I think they've been studied for like cancer treatments and stuff.
Right.
Like that.
I would love to.
They better.
Yeah.
Why are we studying them for cancer and compared to what else? Like
Of like what kind of gene mutations are beneficial and stuff like that.
But why?
But why that came up, I don't know. Again, I said, also to note, naked mole rats rarely get cancer, parentheses, but I'm not getting into it, end parentheses.
They're done with this.
I'm done with this.
Good to know.
There were
Do
3
your own research, folks.
There were 3 links, and I'm not clicking on them.
I was like,
I don't have time.
I've already gotten too far into this.
Yeah.
I can't go any further.
I mean, they can eat ghost peppers. What more do I have to say?
I know.
What more do you want from them? And then, like I mentioned some point in somebody else's talk. Conservation status, least concern. They live in areas with very little human development. They live in arid areas. They also live underground, so they're not really disturbed frequently. So they're doing okay. They're still pretty ugly though. That's not a reason to not conserve them or protect them in any way.
Man.
100 hairs.
But they're pretty ugly.
Nobody was like, hey, I want to make a coat.
Ew.
Oh, that'd be the tiniest coat in the world.
No.
Well, or it would be a coat but no hair.
No hair.
It would be a leather jacket.
I'm wearing one right now. But that is naked mole rats. That is my animal. I'm trying to find the ending.
That's disgusting.
well-
Thank you for all of this.
And
Really wild. And like just like I think all of the species we talked about tonight, sometimes like you said, Chris, we can talk about charismatic megafauna and species that everybody knows, but tonight we all talked about like really freaking unique animals that leave you wondering why and how.
And what else is out there?
right?
X-Files. Oh my God, sorry. Didn't mean to do that. But yeah, it doesn't have to be big and, subjectively beautiful.
Yeah.
There's just so much.
It's so wild.
Yeah.
And that's my favorite part is when we like dig into like you're like, oh, like, and to be fair, there are big charismatic species that like you find out weird, crazy things that you're like, I have no friggin' clue because no one ever told me this.
Yeah.
But then you're like, I didn't even know this thing existed. And then there's all these other crazy things about it. Anyway, just a reminder that do you wanna keep going with that? All right. Though we're animal enthusiasts, we're not scientists. Do your own research. We just want you to be excited about animals like we are. All three of us. Thank you for joining us on this episode, especially you, Chris. I am just like so happy that you were able to get on an episode. If you like our podcast, make sure you subscribe wherever you are listening and leave us a review. It'll help us reach more animal enthusiasts like you. You can also find us on Instagram at The Right and Hold fuck me.
That is not the website.
No, it's not.
Don't go there.
Don't go there. You can also find us on Instagram at The Watering Hole Pod, on YouTube at The Watering Hole Pod. I just started us a TikTok. I think it's right now at the.watering.hole.pod, but I'll change it, so don't worry. And on our website, thewateringholepod.com. You'll find us, don't worry. Tune in next time when we learn about more animals, their biology and habitat, the threats they face, and what people are doing about it. Oh!